This is Matthew Kratter from Trader University, and today I want to answer the question, is Bitcoin dominance falling? This is a question from Shiba, and the question was, Bitcoin dominance has slumped from 95% in 2017 to less than 40% in 2022. Any hope Bitcoin will make a comeback? If so, please support your argument with a plausible explanation and evidence if applicable. So I think this is a really interesting question. And in order to do it, we first have to discuss what dominance is, what Bitcoin dominance is, what market caps are. So it's important to remember that when Satoshi released Bitcoin, it had no price. So its market cap was technically zero. The way you calculate market cap is you take the number of coins that are either that exist, or you can take the total future supply. For Bitcoin, we know the answer in both cases. For things like Ethereum, it's not quite as clear. But to calculate the market cap, you take the number of coins and you multiply it by the price per coin. So for the first year and a half of Bitcoin's life, Bitcoin did not have a market price. It was a very new thing. And as such, it didn't really have a market cap because you need the price per coin in order to calculate market cap. It was only when Laszlo bought his two, I believe they were Papa John pizzas, for 10,000 Bitcoin on May 22nd of 2010, this is Bitcoin Pizza Day, Bitcoin finally had an implicit price. I suppose you could back into it as probably just a few cents or less than a cent, depending on what the fiat price of those pizzas was. So at that point, though, whatever it was, you could say that Bitcoin dominance was at 100%. And it's really been falling ever since with the invention of new cryptocurrencies. So if we take a look at CoinMarketCap, we can go to the top and see Bitcoin dominance is 37.6%, ETH dominance is 20.4%, or the ETH, the way this is calculated, basically the way dominance is calculated, is you take the market cap, so that would be the price times the number of circulating coins, and then you divide that into the total market cap of all cryptocurrencies. So right now, according to CoinMarketCap, all cryptocurrencies that they track, which looks like 20,911 cryptos, the total market cap of those is 976 billion. So very close to 1 trillion. And the way you do the math is you take the Bitcoin market cap, which is about 367 billion, you divide it into 976 billion, and that looks about right. You end up with 37.6%. So the way you measure dominance is what cryptocurrency has the largest market cap. And for the entire history of CoinMarketCap and all these trackers, Bitcoin has always had the largest market cap and has had the dominant position in terms of market cap. So what I'd like to do in this video is I would like to go through the top 10 coins. And that's really all you need to do, because you can see once you get to coin number 11, it begins to fall off very rapidly. Number 11 happens to be Dogecoin, which is not really a serious coin, but that has currently a market cap of 8 billion. And then the more you scroll down here, the market caps get smaller and smaller. They're always moving around. So 9, 10, 11, these placeholders will always be changing. Even some of the higher up slots will change over time as we see. So I think the best way of approaching this question of market cap dominance is just to look at the top 10 cryptocurrencies by market cap, where we are today. So there are three big ones in the top 10 that really stand out. That's USDT, which is Tether US dollars, USDC, which is Circle US dollars, and then Binance US dollars, BUSD. These are all stable coins that are linked to the US dollar. They're all highly centralized projects, and by definition, they're called stable coins, but they're not really designed to appreciate or to be a hedge against inflation. They're stable to the extent that their prices are normally very close to $1 US. Of course, we've had stable coins, algorithmic stable coins like UST, which was Terra USD, which ended up blowing up. These centralized coins seem to do better, and you can argue whether Tether has full reserves and is backing these dollars. But I think it's a strange thing to include these stable coins in the market dominance calculation. And it's also very misleading to call stablecoins stable, because even though they're always worth close to $1, even in the last 12 months, they've been losing 8, 9, 10 or more percent in terms of purchasing power because they're tied to the US dollar. The other weird thing about these stable coins is they're all centralized. They all have centralized custodians. And if those custodians don't like you, or if the US government or another government doesn't like you, they can tell those custodians to freeze your stable coins. So here's a good example of Circle freezing $100,000 worth of USDC at law enforcement's request. So this is a very strange kind of cryptocurrency where it can be frozen at will. It's much easier to move these around than using Fedwire or ACH, and that is their chief advantage. They can also be used outside the US banking system by people in developing countries who would like dollar exposure. But in terms of the promise of cryptocurrency, the promise of censorship, resistance, of finite supply, of decentralization, all of these stablecoins really fail that cypherpunk dream. So stablecoins, as we said, they're centralized, they can be easily censored, they're not at all scarce, they have an infinite supply just like any other fiat, like the US dollar, and they will not protect you from central bank money printing. They're great, as we said, if you're in Lebanon or Zimbabwe and you need a way of holding US dollars outside the US banking system, but I don't think they should be included in a calculation of Bitcoin dominance. And an argument for this is we don't include euros or yen or Australian dollars, these other currencies, these other fiat currencies, when calculating Bitcoin dominance. So why should we include US dollar stablecoins? You can include them if you want, but I think it's very misleading simply because they don't have any of the attributes of decentralized neutral money, which is the whole promise of cryptography and cryptography applied to money. If you're finding this video helpful, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and share this video with a few friends. So what I'm saying here is if you take out these stable coins, what that will mean is that the total global crypto market cap will drop quite a bit. If Tether is about 67, 68 billion, USDC is 51 billion, and Binance dollar is about 20 billion. These are very large coins, but I don't think they should be included when calculating Bitcoin dominance. So now let's talk a little bit about the other top 10 coins. We have BNB, which is the Binance coin. This is a highly centralized coin. It's really just a utility token issued by Binance itself. It can be frozen whenever the US government tells Binance to do it. So it also fails the cyberpunk manifesto and the dream of neutral money. And then next in the list of top 10 coins by market cap, we have XRP, which is really the favorite coin of very special people who occupy the far left of the bell curve, unfortunately. This is a coin that I've talked a lot about on this channel, and the XRP army does not care for me. Because of that, this is also the favorite coin of scammers who enjoy dumping on dumb people. Here's the typical XRP holder trying to just figure things out. And unfortunately, the US government has been very slow to shut down Ripple and XRP and protect people who can't understand these things from these really blatant scams. Meanwhile, 𝐁𝐈𝐓𝐂𝐎𝐈𝐍, one of the co-founders of Ripple, has dumped all of his XRP. He had 9 billion XRP, and it's really made him a billionaire in the process. So that's XRP. It's a very centralized currency. It was technically not issued by Ripple the company, but Ripple the company magically ended up with the majority of the supply, which they've been selling ever since to generate cash flow for the company, to buy ads, etc. So this is a very centralized project, and one way you know it's centralized is they're being sued by the SEC. The SEC cannot come after Bitcoin. There's no one to sue, but they can certainly sue Ripple and XRP. If you want to learn more about my views on Ripple, I will link to this video. Is Ripple XRP a scam? Back from October of 2020. But Ripple XRP is really not a serious contender. It's a joke coin. It's dominated by a single node, which is the Ripple node. And so I'm not going to cover it any further here. I'll put a link to this just in the description notes below if you want to follow up on it. I've also already talked about Solana, which is a top 10 coin. And I've talked about the huge pre-mine, the huge allocation to insiders like venture capitalists. And I warned people back in November of 2021 how the venture capitalists were dumping on them. So you can read about that too. But it's clear that the new global monetary system cannot be built on a coin that was issued for the benefit of Silicon Valley venture capitalists, and that's controlled by a centralized corporation that can easily be sued, just like Ripple is being sued. A really elegant way of analyzing cryptocurrencies is to look at the initial token allocations, the pre-sales, the pre-mines, and we can see here Solana had one of the largest pre-mines for insiders. This was all the VCs and the insiders and the dev team that were awarded tokens. As we're going to talk about, Cardano also had a pre-mine, Polkadot, Binance had a very large pre-mine in addition. And so the bigger this red thing, the more you should be scared, because you have all these insiders who are getting ready to dump on you and who didn't do any work to receive these free tokens. Cardano is another crypto that I've covered extensively on this channel. And I was actually told by a sub that Charles Hoskinson doesn't like me making videos like this and that he was thinking of suing me. So hopefully that doesn't happen, because Hoskinson, I think, is a billionaire and I'm much, much less than that. But I will link to this Cardano video. It tells you something, though, when you have a coin run by a leader who's threatening to sue people. Again, I don't know if Hoskinson said that about me, but I've heard it from a couple subscribers. So I'll link to this. If you like social credit scores for kids in Africa, then Cardano's ADA is definitely the crypto for you. So I'll link to that in the description notes below. The thing is, whenever we have a new bull market in cryptocurrencies, and the really mysterious thing is they happen magically to occur in the wake of the Bitcoin halving. So these are all really parasitic coins, new coins and old coins. For some bizarre reason, they're all tied to Bitcoin and the Bitcoin halving, which happens every 4 years. This should tell you something about how derivative they are to Bitcoin, because we don't follow, there's no other event that moves crypto in the same way that the Bitcoin 4-year halving does. But general point I'm making here is that every cycle there's a new crop of crappy new coins. These coins come and go, and every cycle brings in fresh noobs to the space who end up getting wrecked on these altcoins, and they end up either just being bankrupt, like a lot of the Luna people, the Terra Luna people, or they end up leaving the crypto space for good, or they end up becoming real Bitcoiners. I prefer the word Bitcoiner. You can call them, and you can call me Bitcoin maximalist, but money really is a winner-take-all game, so it might make sense to be a maximalist of some sort. Maybe you can be a Cardano maximalist if you like social credit scores for African children. But this is what happens. If we go back and we look at CoinMarketCap from December 8th, 2017, you can go back and look at this for any date. You can just go up here and change it in the URL. We can see that the top 10 coins are very, very different. The only coins that I recognize here that were in our top 10 list today are Bitcoin and Ethereum, number 1 and 2. XRP is number 5 here. It is stuck around. And then you have a lot of coins that are no longer in the top 10. We have coins that are really no longer around or that are irrelevant, have much smaller market caps. And so this is constantly changing. And if you measure Bitcoin dominance against the backdrop of ever-changing coins, this should tell you something, because it's great if you own one of these coins, if you're able to get in really early, and it's now one of the top 10. But if you buy the top 10, you're not going to do that well, except perhaps for Bitcoin and Ethereum, because the other 8 are constantly changing over time. And so what we're left here when we look at Bitcoin dominance, we have all these stable coins, which we've taken out. We have all these other coins, which are constantly changing or clearly centralized scams. And then at the top, we really just have Bitcoin and Ethereum. And this is the reason those are the two main coins that I cover so extensively on my channel. And of these top 10 coins, Bitcoin is really the only constant, because Ethereum is constantly changing the way they do things. Most recently, they're about to change to proof of stake from proof of work. So they're changing something very, very essential. People have analogized it to changing the engine in an airplane that is mid-flight. But Bitcoin doesn't change. Bitcoin is base layer neutral money, and this is what you need. You don't want your base layer money to be constantly changing. Bitcoin is very consistent, and we can see that from the top 10 coins in every cycle on CoinMarketCap. And not only do all the other coins follow the Bitcoin halving schedule and pump when Bitcoin's pumping and dump when Bitcoin is dumping, but Bitcoin continues to have, not just being number 1 in terms of largest market cap, it has the deepest liquidity, it has the most well-known global brand, it has this first mover advantage as being the first really successful cryptocurrency, and so it has the Lindy effect working for it. The longer you've been around, the longer you're likely to be around when it comes to non-biological things. It also has the most credible long-term monetary policy, As we've said, Ethereum has changed its monetary policy many, many times. And even now, mid-flight, it's changing its consensus mechanism in the next couple of weeks. Coins that are issued by a centralized authority or with a pre-mine or with a large initial allocation to VCs or other insiders cannot function as neutral money. Those insiders stick around behind the scenes like marionettes, and they end up controlling the monetary puppets. And a perfect example of this is Ethereum moving to proof of stake. I should have said it's moving from proof of work to proof of stake to give these same insiders, these same beneficiaries of the huge pre-mine and pre-sale, giving them more control over the protocol as validators. Ethereum is not moving to proof of stake because they're worried about carbon emissions or energy usage. This is the true economic reason they're doing it, to give more control to insiders. So with proof of stake, the more coins you have, like the initial whales in Ethereum, the more power you have, the more control you have over the consensus mechanism and over the validation of blocks. This is not true in proof of work. Having more coins does not give you more control over the protocol. In fact, as we've talked about, the Bitcoin miners are basically slaves that work for everyone else, and they do get paid well for it at times, but they have to do what the consensus rules tell them to do. And if they try to do something different, the blocks that they produce get rejected by the full nodes, and they end up having burnt electricity and invested money in ASICs for no reason. When we're talking about Bitcoin dominance and we're talking about market caps, the other question that always comes up is, will Ethereum flip Bitcoin? And by flip Bitcoin, people mean, will it trade at a higher market cap ever than Bitcoin? I would say probably not, but I don't really care if it does. Ethereum is already a captured, controlled coin, and I'm going to link to some videos that really lay out that thesis for you if you're interested. Ethereum could actually flip Bitcoin's market cap overnight if they just increase the supply, and this would be very easy for Vitalik to do, to just change the code, and everyone would go along with him because he has the bully pulpit at Ethereum. So you could basically massively increase the supply of Ethereum. The price would probably fall a bit. I don't think it would quite fall by 50%. Price would fall though. But if you increase the market cap enough, you could have a situation, or if you increase the coin supply enough, you could have a situation where you're multiplying that lower price times more coins, you end up with a larger market cap. And you could have a situation where definitely Ethereum could trade at a larger market cap than Bitcoin. And it could become the new dominant cryptocurrency as measured by market cap dominance. The problem with this, and the reason you shouldn't care, is Ethereum is already a captured, controlled coin. Proof of stake is literally the worst consensus mechanism in the world. I'm going to link to a playlist where I go into this in much, much depth, talking about the censorship, talking about how the large validators are mostly regulated corporations that are regulated by U.S. financial authorities and that have to censor transactions, as they did with Tornado Cash, if they are told to. So this is a problem with proof of stake. It basically recreates the fiat system where those with the most money have the most control. And I will link to this playlist in the description notes below if you really want to dig deep into proof of work versus proof of stake and the differences. So when I get this question about Bitcoin dominance, this is a question that has been seeded into people's minds by people like Vitalik. And the problem with this is, if you ask the wrong question or if you use the wrong metric, you're going to get the wrong answer. And looking at Bitcoin dominance as it's defined in the general ecosystem and as it's defined on coinmarketcap.com, it's definitely the wrong question. It's the wrong metric. I would suggest, and you can disagree with me, I would suggest that the correct question that people should be asking is, what are the serious candidates? What are the serious monetary candidates that are both neutral money and that have the potential to replace the existing fiat financial system? Ethereum, if you do the work, you will see that it is very, very far from being neutral money, very far from being beyond the control of governments, very far from being neutral and decentralized. There's only one candidate. There's only one hope that we have. And this is why I get called a Bitcoin maximalist. It's because I want to see the current system come down. The current system is corrupt. It's dirty. We have all these people too close to the money printer. They can control the supply of money. They can control the cost of money in terms of interest rates. It's very bad for middle class and working class people who don't know how to hedge away the central bank money printing and the inflation. It's a terrible system, at so many levels. The gold standard was much better, but gold doesn't work very well, as we learned when it morphed into the fiat standard. The Bitcoin standard is really the only way to go. And so I view these other coins as attacks on Bitcoin and as ways of the current system trying to preserve itself. So maybe Ethereum succeeds, it becomes this captured control coin, and the US government issues CBDCs on it. It's quite possible. I don't think it's likely. But in that case, that's really a failure. That is the existing system just changing and morphing so that it stays in control. Bitcoin is the only exit. It's the only life raft out there. Monero is not a life raft. Stablecoins are not a life raft. None of these other coins have the chance of changing the system and leading us to a new neutral global form of money. So in this sense, Bitcoin has 100% dominance. It's the only neutral, true cryptocurrency that lives up to the promise of the cypherpunk revolution. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit that subscribe and like button. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I publish my next video. And let me know your questions and comments in the comment section below. Thanks all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.